Did you know Eric Richins?
Yes.
How did you know him?
I cleaned his home.
That's Carmen Lauber, and she told jurors that she bought drugs for Kouri Richins at her request in the weeks before Eric Richins died.
Did there come a time when she asked you for the Michael Jackson stuff?
Yes.
Now Lauber is the state's star witness in the murder case against Kouri Richins. I look at 17 bombshells from Lauber's testimony. I'm Angenette Levy, and this is Crime Fix. Staying on top of the news is crucial, but with media bias these days, who knows what to believe? So I want to introduce you to our sponsor, Straight Arrow News. Straight Arrow News is a personalized news platform that gives readers fact-based journalism to inform and build trust. Their Media Miss tool shows readers headlines not seen on mainstream outlets, providing useful commentary that cuts through sensational spin. Their site and app also points out biases with a media landscape to group sources by political leaning for full transparency. So if you're ready for a better way to get the news, go to san.com/crimefix or just click the link in my description. Straight Arrow News. Skip the drama, get the facts. Welcome back to trustworthy journalism. Kouri Richins is on trial for the murder of her husband, Eric, and the state's star witness against Kouri is her former housekeeper, Carmen Lauber, who told the jury she bought drugs for Kouri not once, but 3 times before Eric died in March of 2022. Kouri's attorneys say she's innocent and that she did not murder Eric by poisoning his Moscow mule with fentanyl. Kouri called 911 in the early morning hours of March 4th, 2022, and told EMTs that she and Eric had had a drink and he had taken a THC gummy before they went to bed.
We eat gummies. Sometimes when we go gummies before he goes to bed. Mm-hmm. You didn't seem like you did, though.
It's like a gummy, as in like a THC gummy?
Now, there's a problem with that, though. The medical examiner testified that Eric Richins didn't have THC in his system when the toxicology results came back. She said the results only showed he had fentanyl and alcohol in his system. So that leaves one question. Where do prosecutors claim Kouri Richins got the fentanyl to poison Eric in her hopes of cashing in and collecting his millions? That's where Carmen Lauber comes in. She's Kouri and Eric's former housekeeper, and she wasn't just a housekeeper. She's a woman with a long history with drugs.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a direct support intake. I work with people with disability and mental challenges and stuff.
Do you have a history of drug use?
Yes.
When did that history begin?
6th grade, I was smoking pot, and then it just varied up through junior high and high school.
How did it vary up?
Through cocaine, through pot, through mushrooms, LSD, acid, just drinking stuff through junior high and high school.
Did it continue into adulthood?
Yes.
For how long?
For quite most of my adulthood.
Have you ever sold drugs?
Yes.
Do you have a criminal history involving drugs?
Yes.
Does it involve drug possession?
Yes.
Does it involve drug distribution?
Yes.
Do you have felony convictions for drug distribution?
Yes.
Are you currently on a type of probation for drug distribution?
Yes.
And are you on a probation for a felony drug distribution?
Yes.
Is that probation in Wasatch County's drug court?
Yes.
What is drug court?
Drug court is where you go in, they give you the tools to rehabilitate yourself. They give you groups, personal therapy, one-on-one treatment. They give you random UAs. They have you complete an MRT book. Just tools to rehabilitate yourself.
When you say UAs, is that urinalysis testing?
Yes.
To see if you're hot for drugs?
Yes, we would call in daily, and you would either have a number or a color. And if your color or number was called, you had to go to 5-minute clinic and DOUA.
And is the idea behind drug court that it's a rehabilitative program under court supervision?
Yes.
Are you sober now?
Yes.
How long, ma'am, have you been sober?
A little over 4 years.
Is that the longest time in your life since 6th grade that you have been sober?
Absolutely. Except for the time I was pregnant. It's the only time I quit. And then I'd go back to being high. But yes, 4 years, a little over 4 years.
So Carmen has a long history of abusing drugs, but right now she's clean. Lead prosecutor Brad Bloodworth is getting all of Carmen Lauber's warts out in front of the jury early on, and she's getting a major deal in exchange for her testimony.
Are you testifying pursuant to several grants of immunity today?
Yes.
Is one of those grants of immunity in a letter from Summit County?
Yes.
Is one of those grants of immunity in a letter from Salt Lake County?
Yes.
Is one of those grants of immunity in a letter from the federal government?
Yes.
And is there also an understanding between you and Wasatch County, or at least your attorney and Wasatch County, that there is immunity for the gun and the marijuana in Wasatch County?
Yes.
And do you have those 4 grants of immunity because you have committed crimes in connection with this case in all 4 of those jurisdictions?
Yes.
What is your understanding of those immunity agreements?
We're proceeding forward with the truth, and there will be no charges filed back on me.
Do you understand that they require you, in order to avoid criminal exposure, they require you to testify today truthfully?
Yes.
Do they require you to testify today fully,
Yes.
regardless of who's asking you the questions?
Yes.
And that if you don't testify truthfully and fully, you could lose all of that immunity?
Yes.
Did your lawyer assist you in getting that immunity?
Yes.
Did he advise you of the potential criminal exposure you face if you lose that immunity?
Yes. Yes. Sorry. Yeah, because it's just like, yeah, you're fine.
Did you interview with investigators before you got immunity in those cases?
Yes.
About how many times?
6 times? 6 or 7 times?
And over the course of those 6 or 7 times before you had immunity, about how many hours total did you speak with investigators?
Give or take 10, 15 hours?
Carmen Lauber talked about part of the reason she agreed to testify aside from the immunity she was given.
When they had first told me that, when they first mentioned that Eric, I already knew Eric had passed away, but when they had mentioned that it was from an overdose, that hit hard. Only for the fact that if that's what happened, I needed to step up and take accountability of my part in this that happened, or what I was asked for. At first, it took a minute to process everything.
So Carmen Lauber says part of the reason she is testifying is because she played a role in Eric's death. But let's face it, she also has the possibility of major prison time hanging over her head. Now let's get into the meat of her testimony.
Ma'am, did you know Kouri Richins?
Yes.
How did you know her?
I worked for her aunt for LTD's personal house cleaning.
And as part of working for Kouri Richins' house cleaning, aunt's house cleaning business, did you clean Kouri Richins home?
Yes. Every other Friday, unless she needed an extra clean or a deep clean.
About how long did you know Kouri Richins?
I worked for her aunt for 9 years.
And did you know Kouri Richins that whole 9 years?
Yes. We got to know each other throughout the years.
Did you also perform other cleaning services for Kouri Richins?
Yes, when I wasn't working for Doreen, I reached out to her and asked her if she had any house cleaning or landscaping or anything that she needed help with.
Did you ever discuss your drug history with Kouri Richins?
Yes.
How so?
We just talk about how how I was going in drug court, and when I would graduate, and she would reach out and ask how things were going, or if we'd run into each other. I'd tell her I'm almost graduating.
Did you know Eric Richins?
Yes.
How did you know him?
I cleaned his house, and he'd come in and he would joke with us that we were there a little later than what we should have been, and he'd tell us, get out of here, we're working past 5 o'clock, it's time to go home. I've gone to their house with my grandkids on a barbecue when it was one of their sons' birthdays with her aunt.
Did you know that Eric Richins owned a stonemasonry business?
Yes.
Did you know any of the workers that he employed in that business?
No.
We knew that prosecutors would claim that Carmen Lauber bought drugs for Kouri at her request, but we learned through Lauber's testimony the number of times she claims Kouri asked her to buy drugs.
Did Kouri Richins ever ask you to purchase for her illicit drugs?
Yes.
How many times?
4.
Did you purchase illicit drugs for her?
Yes.
How many times?
4.
When you purchased illicit drugs for Kouri Richins the first time, who did you purchase the drugs from?
Susan Kohler.
When you purchased for Kouri Richins drugs the second time, who did you purchase the drugs from?
Robbie.
By Robbie, do you mean Robert Crozier?
Yes.
How about the third time?
Robbie.
The fourth time?
Robbie.
Robbie Crozier will be a key witness for the state, too. Carmen Lauber told the jury she deleted her text with Kouri about buying drugs because they showed her doing something illegal, and she was going through drug court and didn't want to get into trouble.
Let's talk about the second time that you purchased drugs for Kouri Richins, which is am I right, the first time you purchased them from Robert Crozier?
Yes.
All right, let's talk about that first purchase from Robert Crozier. How did Kouri Richins approach you on that purchase?
She had reached out to me in text message and said that her investor wanted something stronger. And I kind of told her, well, I can reach out to the people I don't know. You just can't say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. When you're buying drugs off the street, you pretty much purchase what you get. And at the time, I didn't know anybody, so I reached out to another acquaintance that I knew that was still using, which would be Nicole.
Now, this is where the subject of fentanyl, the drug that killed Eric Richins, comes up.
Did he ever get back to you after that?
Yes, he did.
When he got back to you, what did he say?
He said he had a buddy that had some fentanyl pills.
What then did you do?
I had texted Kouri back and told her that I had a friend that could get them, but they were fentanyl pills.
So you told Kouri you had a friend, a hookup for fentanyl pills.
Yes.
How did Kouri Richins respond?
She said, okay, go ahead and get them.
So, did you go ahead and get them?
Yes.
What was the next step in getting them?
The next step was reaching out to Robbie and tell them to go ahead and get him.
Lauber said she also deleted her text messages with Robbie Crozier because they showed her doing something illegal as well. Remember, Kouri is charged with attempted murder for a Valentine's Day 2022 incident in which Eric Richins believed Kouri poisoned his sandwich. Photos were shown during Carmen Lauber's testimony that showed her with her friend Nancy driving through Provo Canyon 3 days before Valentine's Day on February 11th, 2022 to meet Robbie Crozier.
Did you see about how many pills were inside that baggie?
No, I didn't sit there and count him. It was 15 to 20 is what he told me.
Did you said they were circular?
Yes, just round.
Did you notice their color?
Kind of light green.
What did you do once he gave you the pills?
Left.
Left to where?
Back up through Provo Canyon, back up to my house in Heber.
On the way back to your home in Heber, did you exchange text messages with Kouri Richins?
Yes, I did.
What was the content of those messages?
I let her know that I had him. What did she want me to do with them? I really didn't want them with me at my house.
Did she tell you what she wanted you to do with those pills?
She responded back with, take him over to the Midway house, put him in a shed. There was 3 sheds on that property. I didn't feel comfortable leaving him in the shed out in the open. So I went to the fire pit and kind of dug a little hole and put the gravel back on top of it and then kind of turned a brick to the side to kind of cover it up.
A lot of what Brad Bloodworth was showing the jury was meant to corroborate Carmen Lauber's testimony. The photos of the fire pit and then these community service letters signed by Kouri Richins for Carmen Lauber.
What's the genesis of these letters? Why these letters?
I was late for a couple of groups, so I got sanctioned from drug court to do 10 hours of community service.
Okay. So groups, do you mean group therapy sessions?
Yes.
And because you were late to court-ordered, they're court-ordered, aren't they?
Yes.
Because you were late to court-ordered group therapy sessions in drug court, am I right, the judge sanctioned you to community service?
Yes.
Then did you approach Kouri Richins about getting community service letters?
I had asked her if she knew anywhere I could get a letter with a head on it saying that I did some community hours.
Okay. Ms. Lauber, did Kouri Richins hand you those letters?
Yes.
Did you perform that community service?
Absolutely not.
Have you ever stepped foot on a Circle R ranch?
No, I have not.
Did you submit those community service letters to the drug court in Wasatch County?
Yes, I did.
How'd that go?
Not too well. I ended up in jail for a day and
What?
got more community hours.
Brad Bloodworth also asked Carmen Lauber about a time that Lauber claimed Kouri Richins asked her for, quote, Michael Jackson stuff. Michael Jackson died from an overdose of propofol, an anesthetic, in 2009.
Did there come a time when she asked you for the Michael Jackson stuff?
Yes.
Was that this time?
Yes.
What did you understand the Michael Jackson stuff to mean?
I actually wasn't sure. I had to Google it.
So you said there was ultimately this third buy from Robert Crozier. Did Kouri Richins give you the money up front for the third buy?
Yes, it was the Midway house still.
Was it the same way she...
Same little house in Midway.
Okay.
Back door.
Did you enter the back door of that little
Yes.
house in Midway?
Yes.
Did you get some money?
Yes.
Do you remember about how much?
About $1,000.
Was it cash?
Yes.
Was it cash the other time also?
Yes.
Once you got the $8,000 out of the small Midway house, what did you do?
I text Robbie.
What did you say? What did you set up with Robbie over text?
Just saying, hey, does your friend still have any of those left? And then of course, it doesn't happen right then and there. I could text him and he'd say, I'll get back to you in a couple of days, I'll see what I can find out. So then when Robbie texted me back, I let Kouri know that I could get him, and then head back down, had Nancy take me once again down Provo Canyon to the Maverick on 126th.
Just like the time before.
Yes.
Like before, were you texting with Robert Crozier on the way down the canyon?
Yes.
And what was the content of those texts?
Same texts. How much longer? How far out are you? Because he always had to find a ride as well.
Were you texting on the way down Provo Canyon with Kouri Richins?
Yes.
What was the content of those texts?
Same thing. Sorry it's taken long. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'll keep you posted.
Carmen Lauber went on to describe the pills she said she bought from Robbie Crozier and what she did after buying them from him.
Can you please describe the baggie?
Clear little baggie. Just a small little clear baggie. As if you were putting an extra button in it.
Same as last time?
Yes.
Do you recall about how many pills?
15 to 20. I never stopped and counted them, but that's what he told me was in the baggie.
Were they round again?
Yes.
What color were they?
A lighter blue.
Once you received the pills from Robert Crozier, what did you do?
Text Kouri and told her I was headed back up Provo Canyon. And sorry it was getting late, so what does she want me to do with them?
Okay. Did you text with Kouri Richins on your way back up Provo Canyon to Heber?
Yes.
When you got back up to Heber, what did you do?
Oh, went to my house in Heber.
Did you still have the pills with you?
Yes.
What ultimately did you do with the pills?
Well, it was Nancy that drove me, so I had taken her to my house. Oh, wait, hold on, I'm getting confused. Hold on a sec.
Take a minute.
This is a lot. Hold on. Okay, sorry. You can repeat the question.
So, sure. The second buy from Robert Crozier, you went back up Provo Canyon to your house in Heber. Nancy Peterson was driving, right?
Yeah.
And you had the pills with you when you arrived back at your home in Heber. And the question is, what did you do with the pills?
I had them with me.
Did you hold on to them?
Yes, I did.
For how long?
I had given Nancy a couple for taking me, because that was her drug of choice at the time. Not very long.
What did you do with them?
I reached out to Kouri and asked her what she wanted me to do with them, because I didn't like having them on me.
What did she respond?
That she would come pick them up.
Did she?
Yes, she did.
Where did she pick them up?
In my house, in Heber, in my driveway.
Lauber said Kouri Richins later picked up those pills from her at her home, Brad Bloodworth asked Lauber questions about the drug buy she made from Robbie Crozier and what happened after Eric died.
Before Eric died, how many times did you buy drugs from Robert Crozier?
Twice.
Any more than twice before Eric died?
No,
those
just
two
the
times?
twice.
Before Eric died, have you ever been, other than those 2 times, to the Maverick and Drake?
No.
You just said Eric died in early March, right?
Yes.
Do you recall when you learned that Eric died?
It was one of Doreen's employees that had told me that Eric had passed away.
And do you recall how soon after Eric's death she told you that?
It was a day or two after.
Did you ever speak with Kouri Richins about Eric's death?
Yes, I did.
When?
A couple of days after.
Where were you when you spoke with Kouri Richins the first time about Eric's death?
I was with my friend Nick, and we were on our way to do a UA for drug court.
Is Nick Bonsavage?
Yes, it is.
And the UA again is a urinalysis.
Yes, it is.
So you and Nick were together. Were you on a way? Were you driving to the UA?
Yes.
When you had that conversation with Kouri Richins about Eric's death, were you on speakerphone?
Yes.
Could Nick hear the conversation?
Yes.
Did you ask Kouri Richins about Eric's death?
Yes, I did.
What did you ask her?
I said, please tell me these pills were not for him.
Did she respond?
She did.
How did she respond?
She said, no, they were not. Eric passed away from a brain aneurysm.
Now, this is now the second time a witness has testified that Kouri told them, oh, Eric died from this. You may recall Eric's dad testified that Kouri told him that Eric died from a lung ailment. But back to Carmen. She offered more testimony about what Kouri said.
Did there come a time after that conversation where you asked whether Eric died from those pills? Or you asked Kouri Richins whether Eric died from those pills? Did there come a time after that conversation when Kouri Richins again asked you to purchase drugs from her?
Yes.
How did she ask?
She asked me if I still had the hookup or my friend.
Scott, can I get 2-44? If you look down that column labeled description, Ms. Lauber, do you recognize that as a text exchange between you and Kouri Richins?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Is this an accurate text exchange? An accurate depiction of the text exchange?
Yes, it is.
And did it occur on March the 7th, March the 6th and into the 7th, 2022?
Yes, it is.
Carmen then talked about a time after Eric Richins died that she bought drugs for Kouri.
I'm talking about the third drug buy from Mr. Crozier now, after Eric's death.
Oh, no. She gave me she told me that the investor would leave money under her doormat at her house.
The investor would leave money under the doormat of her house for you to buy drugs?
Yes, in Camas. Her
Okay.
house in Camas.
So, did you go to her house and pick up that money?
Yes, I was with Nick. Nick drove me.
Okay, is this the same Nick Bonsavage
Yes.
that was in the car when you asked her whether the
Yes.
pills caused Eric's death?
Yes.
So Nick drove you from where?
Nick picked me up in my house in Heber, and then we headed to the backside of Jordanelle to the house in Camas.
Kouri Richins' house in Canada.
Yes, Corey and Eric's house in Camas.
Did you check under the mat at the front door for the money?
Yes, I went to the door, looked at the mat, there was nothing there. So I kind of looked at Nick and kind of shrugged my shoulders and ran around to the back door to see if there was anything under the mat there. There was nothing there, so I ran back to the front. And I kind of threw my hands in the air to Nick, like, what do I do? And I went up and rang the doorbell. It took Corey a minute to get to the door. She answered it. She told me to come inside. I told her the money wasn't there. I gave her a hug and asked how she was doing. And then I told her the money wasn't there. And then she asked if she could write me a check. So then she went over to her kitchen counter and grabbed kind of a book about so big and wrote me a check.
Did she hand you the check?
Yes.
Yes, you heard Carmen Lauber right. She said Kouri Richins paid her for drugs using a check. A copy of that check was shown to the jury. The check amount, $1,300. Carmen said she deposited the money and kept some of it in cash. Now, Carmen is a key witness for the state. A star witness, really. So, of course, the defense attacked her credibility immediately on cross-examination, and attorney Wendy Lewis suggested Lauber may have been prepped to testify by the state just a little too much.
What other people from Summit County Sheriff's Office, if any, besides Detective Maynard and Detective O'Driscoll, did you talk to?
Were there detectives?
Yes, were there any others?
No.
All right. Have you met with the prosecutors in this case, either Mr. Bloodworth or anyone else?
Yes, I have.
How many times?
There was an initial meeting when this case first came appeared with Bloodworth, and then a couple times over the last couple weeks.
So when you met with them over the last couple of weeks, was that to go over your testimony?
Yes.
Did they practice your testimony with you in those meetings?
They kind of prepared me for what kind of, I don't know what the word I'm thinking of. They kind of prepared me a little bit of it.
Lewis also suggested in her questioning of Carmen that police and prosecutors helped her craft a story to tell the jury.
Did they help you put the pieces together so you would remember what to testify to?
Actually, I'm the one that's asked, like, if I needed to know Robbie, I put in my phone, obviously it says Corey, Doreen's niece, Robbie, Nicole's friend, just stuff like that.
Wait a minute, I don't know if I understood your answer to my question. So my question was, did they help put the pieces together for you for your testimony, and what was your answer?
I said I'm the one that asked for pictures and stuff like that.
So you asked them to help put the pieces together for you.
I don't know if it was actually helping me put the pieces together. Kind of refresh my memory a little bit. It happened a long time ago.
That's true. This happened almost 4 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And your original interviews with detectives was almost 3 years ago.
Yes.
All right, we're going to get back to that.
Then the questioning became personal.
Ms. Kreuzer, do you have mental health diagnoses?
Do I what?
Any mental health diagnoses?
No.
You're not diagnosed with any mental health problems?
No.
You're sure?
Yes.
What about anxiety?
Yeah.
Do you take medication for that?
Not so much anymore, no.
Okay. Are you on any medications today?
No.
Wendy Lewis then turned to Carmen Lauber's possible motivation to testify for the prosecution, the troubles she was having completing drug court.
Okay. Well, now it's January of 22. Okay. So you're missing drug tests. Then, on January 28th drug court, they said you had tested positive for methamphetamine.
Yes.
And you said, no, retest it, that's not true. I didn't use.
Yeah.
But then the next week you came back and you said, well, actually I did use. You don't need to retest it, I relapsed. Which happens.
Well, yes, working with active users, once again,
Yeah.
with the cleaning company, they were all still active users.
Well, but it was your choice to use.
Absolutely, but if you get You keep getting offered and offered, and as a drug addict, yes, obviously you're going to relapse. You're going
All
to
right.
fold.
And you lied about it.
Yes.
All right.
That's what addicts do when you're using.
That's true. Addicts lie. All right.
Active addicts.
Wendy Lewis is trying to show the jury that Carmen Lauber cannot be trusted. She's a recovering addict who has a lot to lose.
So you're arrested on April 26th. You don't know yet about the firearm. You said you've forgotten about the marijuana, but you don't know about the firearm. You just know you were brought in on driving on a revoked license.
Yes.
The next day, Detective O'Driscoll and Detective Maynard show up to talk to you. April 27th, 2023.
I guess it was the next day, yeah.
All right. And at that time, you didn't know why they were there.
No, I had no idea.
But they told you, hey, we searched your place and we found a gun under your bed, correct?
Yes.
And they tell you your drug court is in jeopardy. You could be violated.
Yes.
And if you're violated and you go back and be sentenced on your 2 first-degree felonies and your 3rd-degree felony, you are looking at 2 5-to-life prison sentences and 1 0-to-5 prison sentence potentially.
Lewis then came back to things that were personal, things that the jury could possibly see as really attacking Carmen Lauber.
All right. But during that interview, you told the officers numerous times, I have been using drugs since I was 6th grade.
Yes.
My brain is not that good.
Correct.
I don't remember things.
Yes.
You have a learning disability also, correct?
Yes.
Can you share what that is?
No. No.
I would ask you to share what it is. That was a question, not a request. Sorry. I apologize, but it could be relevant.
Ms. Lewis, Ms. Lauber, if you would please answer the question.
Yes, I do have one.
And what?
What is it?
It's not the highest education of. It's a low-grade education.
Is that because you struggled in school because of your learning disability?
Yes.
All right. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. A lot of people have that.
Right.
Carmen Lauber wiped tears from her eyes, and then Wendy Lewis played an interview with Carmen Lauber and the detective showing the incentive she had to cooperate.
So here's where it's at with McKay and your drug court, okay? They are looking for, and this is going to be upsetting, but let me finish. They're looking to pull your drug court deal and ask for 7 years on your 2 firsts. 5 years for the 1 felony, and then a 40% portion for the second, for 7 years. The only exception to that, and the only thing that they're willing to kind of help you out with, is if you can help us out with this.
And by so, he means like, give us the details that will ensure Kouri gets convicted of murder.
So that's what they said to you.
Yes. Yes.
And let me just identify a couple of people here. The first person speaking to you, telling you that, first he says, I talked to McKay. McKay is the prosecutor in Wasatch County Drug Court, right?
Correct.
McKay King.
Yes, correct.
All right. And that in talking to McKay King, you may be getting 7 years in prison on your state case.
Correct.
But if you help him out, that's not going to happen.
Correct.
And by helping him out, that means you need to give us the details that will ensure that Kouri gets convicted, correct?
Correct.
And you are willing to do whatever it takes to save yourself from getting kicked out of drug court and going to prison, correct?
I'm willing to go forward with the truth, yes.
The suggestion by the defense here is clear that Carmen Lauber has a major incentive to possibly lie. She can stay out of prison by testifying for the state, but will this work? The jury will ultimately decide how credible Carmen Lauber is or isn't. And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Angenette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.